Hey guys, welcome back to the Wellham's World YouTube channel, and today we've got night 2 of Wrestlemania 41 predictions. 6 matches confirmed for the card. Those are the Fatal 4-Way IC title match between Bron Breakker, Penta, Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor. We've got the main event, which is going to be a banger. Cody Rhodes versus Big Match John Cena. We've got AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. We've got Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a Sin City street fight. We've got the tag title match between Liv and Raquel versus Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. And then we've got the women's triple threat match, which could, if it wasn't John Cena's last Mania, I think, give it main event for night 1 on a different Mania, but because obviously the other main event for night 1 is fucking Roman Reigns versus Punk versus Rollins, I think that could realistically have opened night 1 if that match wasn't existing, but it is. So here we are. Now we've got 6 categories this time because there's only 6 matches confirmed. They're the same as the last one yesterday, except for the missing Yeet tier. So we've got match of the night, great match with no stakes, slight intrigue, and toilet break. But before we get into the matches, I want to just discuss this whole Randy Orton situation. Obviously, he was meant to have a match with Kevin Owens, which would have been a phenomenal match. Would have been really fucking good. However, Kevin Owens has got a very serious neck injury and has had to pull out of the match. So, Randy Orton has been demanding, he's like, what the fuck, I've still got a match, right? Because I've been scheduled for Mania. And I think if he was to have something at all at Mania, it would either be set up on SmackDown for night 2, or he'd come out on night 2 and basically demand a match, and it kind of be more like an open challenge kind of thing. So the way I kind of see it going down is he comes out on SmackDown and basically is like, where's my fucking match? And I think what either happens is Nick Aldis comes out, he's like, you got your match. And I think there's going to be 2 people that he fights at WrestleMania if he has a match. And I think obviously because of last week, I think one of them's going to be Solo Sikoa. I think that's one option. Not necessarily the most exciting option in the world, but I think that is one of the options. And the other option, which would just be mental, would be Nick Aldis. So I think if it gets announced on Friday, I think Nick Aldis comes out and says, you know what, you're right, here's your match. And it's announced that he's fighting Solo Sikoa. However, if he comes out on WrestleMania Sunday, maybe to kick off the show, maybe he's not like, maybe it's a whole like, oh, he's not meant to be here kind of thing. And he comes out and he's like, look, I want my match. I'm in my gear. Open challenge right now. And then I think either Solo Sikoa would come out of it for an open challenge, or Nick Aldis would come out to the ring and be like, look, Randy, I'm sorry, you don't have a match. Let's go to the back of the back and just, that's that. And Randy goes, well, hang about, you have a match with me. Or maybe Nick Aldis will be like, you know what, I'll have your match. And he like has his ring gear on or something underneath. I don't know. That'd be a bit more difficult to sort of do. I think if Nick Aldis was to have a match with Randy Orton, it would be the most interesting way to go about this storyline. Obviously, because he's been RKO'd by him twice. Maybe he's a bit pissed. Maybe Randy Orton comes out. Maybe Nick Aldis comes out at the beginning of night 2 of WrestleMania and he goes, I'm here to address the Randy Orton situation. I'm his opponent. And then Randy comes out and they have a match. I don't know. But I think if Randy Orton was to have something on the card, I have a feeling it would be one of those 2 opponents. I think Solo Sikoa is probably more likely. I don't know if Nick Aldis really has. I know he's said before in like interviews, him and Adam Pearce have both said they'd have one more match in him kind of thing. They'd like to do a match in WWE. And there was a time where they were potentially rumouring to book Aldis versus Pearce. That never happened. So this would be probably as good a time as any to do it. But I have a feeling it's likely to be Solo Sikoa. Anyway, let's now move on to the matches that are actually confirmed. And we'll start with toilet break, and I'm looking at these and I'm thinking, you know what, I would argue that there's no toilet break match on this night, but there's always a toilet break, you know what I mean? So the toilet break match for night 2, I am going to give it to Liv and Raquel versus Lyra, Valkyria, and Bailey. I thought we would get an IC women's title match on the card as opposed to a tag title match, and I can see this going a few ways, really. To be fair, I don't really give a shit about Raquel Rodriguez. I quite liked her in NXT, but I don't think she's done anything that I've found particularly interesting on the main roster. I like Lyra Valkyria, but I think she just needs a little bit more something. I like Bailey, and I don't like Liv Morgan. I know that's a potentially controversial statement because a lot of people do like Liv Morgan, but I know a lot of people also don't like her, so it's fine. I think I'm going to predict that Liv and Raquel retain, and I think Liv pins Bailey, and then post-Mania goes after Lyra Valkyria for an IC title, because obviously we've had Raquel versus Lyra Valkyria, but I think the next sort of step will be Liv versus Lyra. I think that's the most likely thing that's going to happen. The other thing that I could see happening would be Lyra taking the pin and then maybe Bailey turning on her, but we've had heel Bailey very recently and now she's turned face, so I feel like there'd be the risk of her becoming like the fucking memed like the Big Show where he turned heel and face every 5 minutes. Or they win the tag titles and then they do some sort of storyline where out of respect Lyra Valkyria gives Bailey another title shot kind of thing. But I think the most likely one is Liv picks up the win, probably pins Bailey, and then goes after Lyra. I think is the feud that the sort of storyline that makes the most sense. I don't know what you do with Bailey after that, but I don't know. So that's what I'm going to predict for that one, and that's the sort of toilet break one. Although I think, you know, because I like one half of the people involved, I probably still wouldn't call it a toilet break. Next, we'll go with slight intrigue. Now, actually, to be fair, this is a shit night to predict for. Well, this is a shit night to tier list, especially with the tiers I've chosen. I think these tiers worked much better for night 1. I should have maybe tailor-made them for night 2, because by default, this one between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, the Sin City Street Fight, is the one that I would put in slight intrigue, even though I think it's going to be a great match. So I've kind of fucked it. I should have changed some of the. No, it's fine. Slight intrigue. Sin City Street Fight. It's going to be a banger. It's going to be brutal. It's two big meaty men slapping meat. It's Damian Priest, who I really like Damian Priest a lot. I think he's fantastic, and I think Drew McIntyre, since he's sort of done his more devious heel shtick, has been very entertaining. He's very funny on Twitter. He's very funny on the mic. I do think Drew McIntyre needs a win more than Damian Priest. And I think you could give Priest a loss, but still make him look very much, almost not heroic, but you know what I mean. Like, he'll look like a beast, but just fall short. I think you just punish him, like absolutely. Throw him into the steps, throw the steps on him, throw him through the table, and then have him like kick out give him like a couple of big kick outs, but have him still fall short. Drew needs the win more than Priest at this current moment in time. I think he could then go on to, he's on SmackDown, and he Drew. So I don't know what that would mean for the title, because Cody versus John Cena. Well, anyway, I think you keep Drew strong, because since he's been a heel, he obviously had the losses to Punk, which didn't necessarily hurt him, but didn't do him any favours. So that's what I'm going to say for that one. I think the match is going to be good. The story, I've not been particularly sold on. It's just been two people just wanting to fucking hurt each other, which I suppose is all the storyline you need. And to be fair, in relation to the Sin City Street Fight, this match needs a stipulation for it to be more interesting. I get that completely. However, I also think Jey Uso versus Gunther should have been some sort of street fight type, no DQ type, because Gunther nearly killed his fucking brother, and it's just a normal wrestling match. I would have liked to have seen Jey Uso plant a steel chair into Gunther's spine, but that's just me. That's not the match we're talking about. But we'll move on to that. Good match with no stakes. The obvious one: AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Who fucking cares about this match? I care about AJ Styles. I think he's sick, but realistically, I'm kind of bored of Logan Paul. Yeah, he's good in the ring. His promos are always the same. I'm rich, you're poor. I'm super famous. Drink Prime. And he's just a knobhead, which is his character, which is fair. You know, if that's what you know. I mean, to be fair, the stuff he's done during his life, he's a fucking knobhead, clearly. I think he's trying to turn over a new leaf and just play a character. But you know what they say about like wrestling? It's just like be yourself, but dial it up. And that's what he's doing because he's a dick. His new finisher looks kind of cool, but it looks kind of cumbersome. Probably won't be able to do it on many people bigger than AJ Styles. But I think AJ Styles wins this and could probably go on to maybe the IC title scene would be quite interesting. Maybe Jey Uso versus AJ Styles. I'd love to see that because that'd be sick. But AJ Styles is obviously kind of turning face for this feud, so I don't know how that would go into things. But yeah, that's going to be the good match with no stakes. Realistically, the winner doesn't really gain much based off of this. I think it depends what they go on to do, obviously. But the loser doesn't really lose much. They've just lost a match. Like, if Logan Paul loses, he has lost to one of the best professional wrestlers on the planet. And if AJ Styles loses, he's basically lost a celebrity match, which a lot of people do. And Logan Paul has picked up some pretty big wins, so it wouldn't be super dangerous for AJ Styles' character to lose, but I just feel like he should win. So my prediction is AJ Styles for that one. Now we move on to good match, which any of these three matches, I think realistically they're all going to be great matches. But my pick for good match is a triple threat match. Realistically, I think this is going to be great, but there's more implications to the other ones. So let's discuss this match. I think Io Sky should win. That's my heart telling me that. I think Io Sky should win. She would benefit hugely from a win. And I think because of like the sort of storyline of Bianca and Rhea fucking despise each other and they just want to kick the shit out of each other, and Io's kind of been sort of disregarded in the feud. She's kind of like the underdog of like, she's the least likely to win. They're not taking her seriously, but she wins anyway. That's the sort of storyline I think should go on, because then I think post-Mania, you could either have Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky maybe one more time, and Bianca could potentially fall into the sort of Jade Cargill story, depending on what they want to do with that. Or you could have Rhea versus Bianca, because I think Rhea maybe takes the pin against Io, and then Bianca comes out and says, well, you shouldn't have been in the match anyway because you didn't fucking earn it, because that's been a storyline leaning into it where Bianca's basically saying to Rhea, well, you didn't earn this shit, you lost, why are you getting another match? And Rhea's basically like, because I'm Rhea Ripley. And then post-Mania you have Rhea Ripley, or you have Bianca say, you cost me the match because you weren't meant to be in it, I'm going to kick your ass. And then Rhea Ripley say, well, I'm going to kick your ass first. And then they kind of have a feud based off that, and Io could move on to different opponents. Potentially, I don't know if you'd want to do Bayley again, but you know what I mean. Like, someone else could then take a shot against Io. Maybe a returning Kairi Sane or Asuka would be quite fun. I know they're in Damage Control, but I want to see Io Sky versus Asuka or Kairi Sane. That would be fun. I don't know, but yeah, I think there's more legs in Rhea losing. I don't think we need another Rhea title reign, and I don't think Bianca needs to win this particular match. I think it would do more going forward if she lost but didn't take the pin for her than it would if she just won, because you could have her win it and then have Rhea versus Bianca singles match and it would be fine, but you don't need the title on the line for that. I think Io just deserves it because I think she's one of the best professional women's wrestlers in the world. I think, to be honest, I think she's fantastic, and I think she deserves a longer reign. Now, moving on from that, we've got great match and match of the night left. And do I go with my heart for match of the night, or do I go with my head and say which one is actually going to be match of the night? Because both of these are going to be great matches. One is going to be a fucking masterclass in just in-ring shenanigans, and one's going to be a masterclass in storytelling. Now, this isn't because people seem to think I hate Cody Rhodes. I don't know why. Definitely not because he pinned my tribal chief. I just think the Fatal 4-Way is going to just going to hit like crack. It's going to be so fucking good. I think it's going to be not just match of the night. I think it's the match. I know the triple threat match on Saturday is going to be really fucking good. But the Fatal 4-Way, I think it's just going to be the match of the weekend. I think is going to be better than... I think the main event of NXT Stand and Deliver between Obafemi, Trick Williams and Javon Evans, the main event of night one, and the main and this Fatal 4-Way match, one of those three is going to be match of the weekend, because all three of those matches, the multi-man matches, they're just gonna be absolutely unbelievable. And I think this one is going to be the match of the weekend. I'll be honest. But let's talk about John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. Now, part of me wants to put this as match of the night because it's John Cena's final WrestleMania, and it's going to be loud, and he's going to get... Are people going to boo him because he's the heel, or are people going to cheer him because it's the last time they'll ever see John Cena? I know if I was in the arena, I would not be booing John Cena. I also wouldn't be booing Cody Rhodes, because I know it's people don't believe me when I say this, but I like Cody Rhodes. I like Cody Rhodes. I think he's genuinely the reason why I didn't like him is because he pinned Roman Reigns. But I like Cody Rhodes a lot. I think he's great. I think he's so good at storytelling as well in the ring. I think his feud with Kevin Owens was incredible. His match in France with AJ Styles was an absolute perfection. I think he's genuinely great. I am going to choose John Cena because I'm choosing with my heart. I think Cody Rhodes wins, and I think maybe John Cena wins it towards more maybe the end of his year. But I don't want to see John Cena for the heel for the entirety of his last year, because I want to see the guy get cheered. It's fucking John Cena. He's retiring. I think what could happen is Cody wins, and then John Cena kind of has what's the word, crisis of conscience, where he thinks, wait, I sold my soul and it didn't work out, so maybe I've just got to do what I do best. And then we get face Cody versus face Cena, maybe at SummerSlam, or maybe John Cena loses, continues his heelish ways and wins Money in the Bank. Maybe The Rock puts him into the Money in the Bank match and helps him win that, because that's what's best for business kind of thing. Or maybe what could be pretty mental would be if The Rock helps him win, he wins his record-breaking title and then turns on The Rock, and maybe we get a little mini Cena versus Rock feud for leading up to SummerSlam, and then that makes Cena face, so he's getting the cheers again. Basically, what I want to see, and it leads into the final match that I'm going to talk about, I want to see either John Cena retire with the title in hand and go out final Raw, SmackDown, whatever it is that he's on, and the final shot of John Cena in the WWE as an in-ring performer is him with the title above his head and fireworks and all that kind of stuff, tear in his eye, that kind of thing. Quite a nice, sentimental ending. Or I want to see Bron Breakker beat John Cena. See, the thing is, Bron Breakker could easily beat Jey Uso on Raw, and I think that would be absolutely fine. But I think what you could do is switch Bron and Drew. Switch their brands and have Drew go after Jay because they dropped the whole Drew McIntyre being the bloodline hunter and trying to basically murder everyone in the bloodline. So you could switch Drew onto Raw, bring Braun onto SmackDown, have Braun pin Cena on his last night and lose the title. Maybe John Cena's final night in the WWE, he has an open challenge. Braun comes out, beats him, and then John Cena hoists Braun's arm in the air. Would be quite nice as well, kind of like passing of the torch. And obviously Braun Breaker deserves a fucking main title run because he's incredible. And then Drew McIntyre could maybe face Jay at SummerSlam and beat him, and then we have heel Drew on Raw. That would be quite a nice thing. So I'm going to go with John Cena purely for heart. I wouldn't be upset if Cody wins because I think there's quite an interesting sort of dynamic. But the thought of John Cena breaking the record at Mania with the title above his head and all the fireworks going, I just feel like that moment would be better than anything else that they could do on that night. I think take the sort of, for once, I know Triple H loves the sort of long-term storytelling, and I think it's absolutely fine, and I think it's great. But I think for one night, for one singular night of the year, take the long-term storytelling and fucking throw it away and just have John Cena fucking hoist that title. Not because I don't like Cody Rhodes, but because I love John Cena. That's why I'm going with John. And finally, we'll talk about what I think is the match of the night, match of the weekend. That's my bold prediction. The Fatal 4-Way between Penta, Braun, Dom, and Finn. Now, I think there are two people that should win this. Well, I think there are three people. Actually, to be fair, I wouldn't mind if Finn wins it either. I was about to say the only person I don't think that should win it is Finn. I wouldn't really care. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, but I've got a Demon Finn Balor t-shirt from when he was in NXT. I've still got it. It still fits. So I thought I'd wear that one. I wore obviously a Roman Reigns one for night one because he's on the card, and I wore a Finn Balor one for night two because he's on this card. And looking down that list, he's the only one I've got a t-shirt for on this night. But I think Braun Breaker doesn't need to win it. I don't think he should take the pin, but I don't think he needs to win it. I think Finn or Dom is taking the pin. I think if Penta wins, so my two predictions, the two people that I'd want to see win are Dominic Mysterio or Penta. And I think if Dominic Mysterio wins, he should pin Finn, because then that creates that storyline. However, I'm going to predict that Penta wins, and I think Penta should pin Dom, because I think we've kind of had enough of this. I think the Judgment Day's kind of gone a bit stale, that storyline. So I think if Dom takes the pin, Finn could kick his ass, essentially. And we have either Finn go out on his own. I think that would be more likely. If Finn ousted Dom, it would make more sense for Finn to leave, because obviously you've got Liv Morgan, who's, with Dom, rather than ousting Dom, unless everyone turns on him. But I think you could have, at the end of the match, Penta wins, does his taunt in the ring, because he's going to do that about 50 million times, I think it's that, isn't it? Or that, something like that. And he's going to spam taunts all day, and then do it again when he wins. Which is the only thing I'm not too keen on about Penta, is how many times he does that fucking taunt. But other than that, I think he's great. I think Penta's going to win, pin Dom, end up at the ramp. I think Finn's going to pick up Dom, and maybe Judgment Day are going to come down, or Finn's going to pick up Dom, deck him, and then Judgment Day's going to come down, something like that, and we're going to get heelish Finn, but technically maybe turning babyface, because I like to cheer Finn, because I think Finn's awesome. And then maybe do Dom versus Finn, and then the winner of that will then re-challenge Penta in a one-on-one situation kind of thing. And I think the implication for that for Braun, he's in this weird position where he's not truly a face, but he's just so cool and so good that people love to cheer him. And that spear he did on Carlito was a thing of beauty. He's got the best spear. He's got the best spear in the business. He's got the joint best spear in the business with Roman Reigns. I can't take it away from Roman Reigns. No, Bron Breakker's Spear is phenomenal. And I think this just has the best. I just think this has a recipe for a solid 10 out of 10. I think there'd be a bit. I don't know if John Cena's quite got the legs to do like a fucking 5-star classic in terms of in-ring performance, but I think the storyline's going to obviously carry that. And I think the thing that will make that match will be the commentary and the crowd as well for that John Cena match, because they need to really be like, you know, John Cena's desperate. It's his final WrestleMania. It's record-breaking, match. And then the crowd, obviously, if they cheer both, I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think they're more likely to boo Cena, obviously, because of his character. I don't think they'll turn on Cody just because John Cena is John Cena. But I think you probably get more cheers for Cena than boos, generally speaking. And I think the entrance where they're all screaming John Cena sucks is going to be very loud as well. But that's my predictions in terms of how I think that's my rankings of the matches based on how much I care for them, essentially. Well, if it was how much I cared about them, that would be at top. But I just think this is just going to be an unbelievable match. They just need to let these four go out and just absolutely fucking tear it down. And I think that should probably open night 1. I think new champion Penta on the opening night 2. I think that should open. I think that'd be really cool if that opened. So we'll go back through my predictions again just to clarify everything. We've got Liv Morgan and Raquel retaining. With Liv, I'll be super specific with this I think Liv Morgan pins Lyra, and Raquel kind of like drags Bayley out to stop her from him interfering, and I think that then moves on to Lyra versus Liv. Drew McIntyre picking up the win against Damian Priest. AJ Styles picking up the win against Logan Paul. Io Sky picking up the win in that one. John Cena and Penta. Those are my predictions. I'm gonna like I said I was gonna do with the first one. I will leave a comment after night 2 and be like how many I got right. And as I said at the end of the first tier list video for night 1, let me know what you think to those predictions. Let me know if you agree to any of my takes or predictions, or if I'm chatting absolute shit and I've forgotten and I've like just disregarded something that's going to happen. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Enjoy WrestleMania, and I will be back soon with a stream, and I'll see you for that. So take care, everybody, and goodbye.